Apri. मैंने रिकॉर्ड दबा दिया इस पे.
كبائر الإثم والفواحش وإذا ما غضبوا هم يغفرون والذين استجابوا لربهم وأقاموا الصلاة وأمرهم شورى بينهم ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين إذا أصابهم البغي هم ينتصرون وجزاء سيئة سيئة مثلها فمن عفا وأصلح فأجره على الله إنه لا يحب الظالمين ولمن انتصر بعد ظلمه فأولئك ما عليهم من سبيل إنما السبيل على الذين يظلمون الناس ويبغون في الأرض بغير الحق أولئك لهم عذاب أليم ولمن صبر وغفر إن ذلك لمن عزم الأمور ومن يضلل الله فما له من ولي من بعده وترى الظالمين لما رأوا العذاب يقولون هل إلى مرد من سبيل وتراهم يعرضون عليها خاشعين من الذل ينظرون من طرف خفي وقال الذين آمنوا إن الخاسرين الذين خسروا أنفسهم وأهليهم يوم القيامة ألا إن الظالمين في عذاب مقيم وما كان لهم من أولياء ينصرونهم من دون الله ومن يضلل الله فما له من سبيل استجيبوا لربكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا مرد له من الله ما لكم من ملجأ يومئذ وما لكم من نكير فإن أعرضوا فما أرسلناك عليهم حفيظا إن عليك إلا البلاغ وإنا إذا أذقنا الإنسان منا رحمة فرح بها وإن تصبهم سيئة بما قدمت أيديهم فإن الإنسان كفور لله ملك السماوات والأرض يخلق ما يشاء يهب لمن يشاء إناثا ويهب لمن يشاء الذكور أو يزوجهم ذكرانا وإناثا ويجعل من يشاء عقيما إنه عليم قدير وما وما كان لبشر أن يكلمه الله إلا وحيا أو من وراء حجاب أو يرسل رسولا فيوحي بإذنه ما يشاء إنه علي حكيم وكذلك أوحينا إليك روحا من أمرنا ما كنت تدري ما الكتاب ولا الإيمان ولكن جعلناه نورا نهدي به من نشاء من عبادنا وإنك لتهدي إلى صراط مستقيم صراط الله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض ألا إلى الله تصير الأمور.
نحمد ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا ورزقا طيبا اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن نفس لا تشبع ومن دعوة لا يستجاب لها اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم. Okay, a quick recap. Continuing with Surah Shura, we are going to be studying today, inshallah, Surah number 42, ayah number 38. And what we had done was that last time we had studied up to 37, when we had studied that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran, فَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ, this is from the lesson before, that whatever you have been given from anything, فَمَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا, it is from the benefits of this life. A few days benefit, and then that's the end of it. But then, وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٍ, but what is with Allah is better, وَأَبْقَى, and eternal, everlasting, but it is for certain categories of people. Who are those people? Number one, لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, those who have belief, وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ, and they do tawakkal on Allah, they rely upon Allah, they trust in Allah. We went into all of these with detail, so we won't go over that again. But here we are talking about what is with Allah is better, everlasting, and who is it for, and there are different categories of people mentioned now. So we have to try and achieve those categories. The first one is belief, and then the one with this belief who trusts in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the person who avoids these sins, these bigger sins, kabair al-ithmi, and we went into what those were in just a quick mention. Well, fawahish mentioned separately from the big sins as in indecencies, even though fawahish is really part of, you can say that lowering your gaze one would avoid fawahish, but fawahish is given its own special category because it leads to so many other sins. And then of course we said we talked about anger, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا مَا غَضِبُوا هُمْ يَغْفِرُونَ, at that when they get angry they forgive. And we read the hadith, we read the ayah in the Quran, Surah Al Imran, that the one who is angry but forgives and forgoes, for them they are considered to be muhsinin. And we said if it is possible to achieve ihsan from controlling one's anger, and what other way can we achieve ihsan? We can pray as if we see Allah, but how many of us can do that? So at least this way, alhamdulillah, if we are able to control our anger, then we can achieve ihsan, which is almost, for us it seems like where, how and when. How are we going to do that? So these keep following with the categories. So belief, trust, avoidance of the big sins, avoidance of the indecencies. When they are angry, they forgive. And then we came to the ayah that we stopped halfway through because we didn't have time. وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ, those who answer their Lord. Allah calls them and they immediately respond. The command comes, they immediately obey. There's no procrastination. Okay, I'm going to do this when I'm older, or I'm going to do this when I'm better off. I'm going to do this when I'm financially stable, or I'm waiting till I get married. All this kind of, there's no procrastination. The response is immediate. And then we went to aqamu as-salah. We said there is no better way to get closer to Allah than through one's salah. And that is, it is the only act of worship that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls us to 5 times a day. 5 times a day we hear the adhan. If you don't hear the adhan, you know that there is supposed to be an adhan. That is the act of worship that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't tell us to go once in a lifetime. And we give so much importance to Hajj. But to this salah, the one that we do every day, 5 times a day, becomes so habitual that we do not even focus upon it. And then we talked about khushu'. What does khushu' mean? We said that it meant inner silence and outer silence. Many of us achieve neither. Some of us achieve the outer silence, in which we are very calm and we are very quiet. But what about the inner silence, in which we communicate with Allah? And we give the 5 categories of salah. That how do people pray? And since some of you weren't there, we'll just touch upon them and really just quickly, because we talked about that the 5 categories of salah were those who wasted their salah by bad wudu. They were unjust to themselves because they actually didn't do their proper wudu, or they were not wearing proper clothing, or whatever it was. Number 2, those who completed all the pillars, did their wudu and were well dressed and whatever, but while they were praying, they did not strive against their nafs. They didn't fight with shaitan. They didn't fight with themselves. So basically they had no connection with Allah at all. They prayed, but they were as if, what was the end of it? Did they feel any communication with Allah? No, they didn't. Number 3, those who did the pillars of salah, and they tried to fight with shaitan and their nafs through that salah. They kept fighting with themselves, trying to bring that focus back. The 4th was the category who perfected its salah, who appreciated the importance of ibadah. Their heart remained focused. They achieved khushu'. And the 5th category was those who they placed their heart with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they escaped the waswasa and the dunya, and they looked at Allah through their heart as if they could see Him. And this was the prayer of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What are the results of these 5 categories? The first category, in which one didn't even complete one's wudu and was unjust, the first category was punishable. The second category, in which one completed the pillars and did their wudu and all of that, but did not fight with themselves to try and stay focused, second was questionable by Allah. The third is when they try to fight with shaitan and their nafs through the salah, that is forgiven. At least we should try to achieve that. That the moment you find your mind is wandering, bring yourselves back. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and bring yourselves back to the salah. The 4th, those who appreciated the importance of ibadah, those who achieved the khushu', they are rewarded in the akhirah. And the 5th, who prayed as if they could see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that category is rewarded both in the dunya and in the akhirah. So these were check out which category do we fit in, and get out of it if it's in the first 2 or 3 categories, and try to achieve better than that, inshallah. And we know that
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we always say that practice makes perfect, right? Just like we want to achieve more knowledge, we practice it. We try to come to class. We try to do the best that we can. We'll achieve more by practicing. Similarly with salah, we should do better if we practiced it. And of course, mashallah, we practice it 5 times a day. How is it then that we are so far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we pray? And I really think it's because we make it into a habit. It's become a habit for us. We need to break this habit. We need to try to focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every time we stand there to worship Him. It should be as if we are meeting Him. It is like the meeting of Allah and His slave. So try to put that into perspective. You had something to say?
Yeah,
Rahman?
right. Some people have attention deficit.
You know, whatever.
No matter what you do, they cannot focus.
That's, you know what, they have inshallah, if that is the case, Allah knows it better than any of us or any medical person.
Isn't that classified as a personal jihad for which you're rewarded as well if you're struggling on the inside?
And you know what, even if a person has a attention deficit disorder, the majority of us do not. That particular person may have some excuse with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and inshallah Allah will forgive him for that. But most of us are perfectly focused when it comes to watching television, or perfectly focused when we're talking to our friends. How is it then when we are talking to Allah we are not focused? That's when I think we need to compare. How do we focus when we are doing things for the dunya, and how do we focus when we're doing things for Allah? There's a very big difference. I think we can all judge ourselves on that, because we are not answerable for anybody else. I mean, we are answerable for, did you teach your child? Did you wake your child? Did you show him the importance by practicing it yourself? Other than that, what else can we do for our children? Teach them and be a good guide to them and be a good example for them. But what's in your heart, nobody knows except Allah. And of course, you can know yourself.
Because Salah is in Arabic, that's not our language and we don't understand it. That's another factor not to be completely focused in the Salah. Even if I know the meanings of those words, some of them, but still I feel difficult to be focused as if I'm talking to somebody in my own language.
Okay, so remember that the wisest one has ordained this, and the way to do it is by the wisest. So we cannot achieve that wisdom. We can look for His wisdom. If we don't understand that wisdom, we can say, Allah, please guide us to understand this wisdom, because I don't understand that I need to pray in a language that I don't understand. But because, like I said, Salah is so repetitive, 5 times a day for 20 years of our lives, we are doing the same thing. How is it then that we cannot understand the same words that we say again and again? The only times those words differ is in the time of dua, or when we add something more to it, right? That's the only time when we really change anything. But the majority of times, Salah is exactly the same as it was. Those few words that we have to memorize and to have to learn the meanings, I honestly don't believe that we have any excuse. I do believe there is a challenge, yes. I do believe there is a challenge. But when I'm talking about these categories of Salah, we are talking about people who speak Arabic also. They're having exactly the same issues. That's because Salah is a test. If it was easy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, it's something really big. Except for those who are khashi'in, who are humble, who realize that Allah is the one with the honor and the majesty, and who are we in His comparison? And we can improve our Salah, I think, by realizing who Allah really is. And we can do that in many ways, and one of the many ways is what we are trying to put in practice in some of our classes is get to know Him, and get to know Him through His names. Get to know Allah through His names, and then realize where we are in comparison to Him. And I gave you that example of someone who said, my favorite name of Allah is Al-Mumit. Somebody said, why would you want to love the name of Allah which is Al-Mumit? It means the one who brings death. And he said, the reason why is because when I know Allah is the one who causes death, then I know that He is the one who I'm responsible to. So if anything good happens, I need to promote it. If anything bad happens, I need to stop it. So when we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His essence, how is He to the best of our ability, that's when we'll be able to do Salah properly.
There are so many things, when you do it like repeatedly over and over again, it becomes like a mechanical. Automatically you go there and you just do, and then all of a sudden you wake up. So these are, but again, like you said, then you just wake up and then come right back to it. So that is
Bring
is
yourself, and I think, and I have been trying this, bring yourself back. So when your mind wanders, bring yourself back. And I gave an example last time of this scholar. First of all, they said that 5 minutes before Salah, give yourself a break from everyday talking. When we are here in the masjid, we are communicating with each other, we are playing games and whatever, and that's all good. But when the adhan goes, take yourself away from there and go to the area of prayer and just be quiet, sitting there, thinking of Allah. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and that will improve our salah to a great extent. So the few minutes before salah are like priority for us, but we don't realize that. Secondly, do our sunnahs. Do our sunnahs. They are like fortresses that guard our fard. Any deficiencies in our fard will be made up by these fortresses. They are like the strong support for the prayer that we are doing, and which has many deficiencies. What a scholar used to do was he would think that there was the sirat in front of him, the one that he would be walking on the last day. He would picture the Jannah on the right, hellfire on the left, the angel of death behind him, and Muhammad ﷺ monitoring his prayer from the side. And he said when he had this in his mind, his salah was much better, because he would be very focused. That if I have all these in front of me, on the side of me, I have my choices, I am making these choices now in the quality of my salah, then one will be able to improve.
So you can imagine things when you are...
You can, but relevant things. Our minds go off into great other imaginations.
No, of course. Yeah.
What's my cleaning schedule today? What's my work schedule today?
No, exactly. No. This is what I'm saying. Imagine what the Jannah is going to be, what the hellfire is going to be, how we are going to die, how...
You can imagine any of those things see, our imagination is such, you go into a trance. So don't do that, but try to focus on ways which will help you to concentrate. Also, you can feel the importance of salah by establishing Qiyamul Layl, which is the prayer of the night, right? So you have to really have determination. Everybody has an intention. I like to do Qiyamul Layl, but determination is what will make it happen. When you are in any type of difficulty, one of the amazing ways of removing that difficulty is Qiyamul Layl. I can guarantee that your difficulty will be resolved. In any way, I am not saying that you expect a certain result, but your difficulty is going to be resolved. I believe there is no doubt about that. But it's not going to happen unless you are determined that it's going to happen. So, how can we make sure that we establish it? Number one, we need to make a lot of tawbah. If you don't disobey Allah during the day, you will find you will be able to obey Him during the night. I know when I do something wrong, I can't wake up for my Qiyamul Layl. Don't think it's the alarm clock that does it. Alarm clock is just a means to an end. It is not what wakes you up. You establish that. You put it on. But I have noticed when I put it on and I am worried about something I did and I didn't like what I did, I can't get up. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that wakes you up. But you have to make sure you set up those things of waking you up. Remove your bad habits, such as sleeping late. That is I believe one of the worst bad habits you can have. Because if you sleep late, you cannot wake up for Qiyamul Layl. Do whatever you like. Take a nap during the day if you can. That doesn't mean you sleep for 5 hours or 2 hours or have a whole 3 to 6 time. But I know when we were discussing, my mother-in-law, one of our relatives called me and said, I remember a few things about Momani Begum. I said, okay, go ahead, tell me what you remember. He said she had the strength of 2, and I thought he'd say 2 men. He didn't say that. He said that she had the strength of 2 oxen. I said, okay. And he said, I know the secret to that. And I said, I know it too. And he said, Mani Begum would sleep for 10 minutes every afternoon. And when she would wake up, she would be ready to go on for the next 8 hours with complete energy. And I've seen it. So 10 minutes, 20 minutes, Qailula. No more than that. The teacher told us that go easy on the biryani. If you eat too much during your night dinner, you cannot wake up. You'll feel heavy through the night. And to know that only Allah wakes you up. I'm telling you, guaranteed. You can set up your alarm. But if you have a feeling you did something that you didn't like, you yourself are your judge. Just check it out. It's going to be difficult to wake up. And then he said, we put out, he said, don't kill the shaitan button. He means the snooze button on your alarm clock. See, when you put your clock on, first of all, you put your clock on at a distance from your bed. So you have to get up to turn it off. But when you get up and you keep hitting the snooze button, 10 minutes more, the time goes. And then he said, get your friends and family involved. Now, Qiyamul Layl should be a secret thing between you and Allah. But just to start the habit, you can actually tell a good friend, wake me up once a week. And you can phone each other or whatever it is. And half an hour before Fajr. And try to get at least one day of Qiyamul Layl and then increase it with that. And I think that's about all that I want to say about Qiyamul Layl. So, inshallah, if you establish Qiyamul Layl, you are making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving you khushu in your salah, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give that to you. So anyway, everybody can only do the best that they can do, but we have, all of us, got some ways to go. So, if you want what is with Allah and what is everlasting and eternal, all the good that is there, you will be of those and I will be of those who maintain the salah, establish the prayer, praying it on time, doing the pillars of salah, making sure we are in a quiet place, not near the TV where there's lots of noise going on. Try to be in a quiet area. The next category of people who will achieve this that Allah has with Him are people who do what the name of this surah is, which is Shura, which is consultation. Wa amruhum, this is the next part of this ayah 38. Wa amruhum shura bainahum, that those who conduct their affairs by mutual consultation. That those who, what does mutual consultation mean?
Discuss the problem with each other. And
you're all in agreement of the final solution as well.
That is, they exchange views so that the right opinion can become clear. And then once they work together, they decide together, then everyone will agree to do a certain thing happily. Which is why we shouldn't make decisions which affect a large number of people, family or community, in a way that is going to be on our own judgment alone. No one person, even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, used to consult with the Sahaba. And even you remember after Uhud, when the difficulty came and when the many Sahaba disobeyed him, in that they left a certain point of importance and they came down to collect the booty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, consult them. Meaning you don't punish people by saying, okay, you guys showed me that y'all were not worthy of this, so I'm not going to ask your advice anymore. I'm not going to consult with you anymore. Quite the opposite. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, consult them. So we need to understand the importance of mutual consultation. When we consult with Allah, what is that called? Ibrahim? Istikhara. And when we consult with people, what's that called? Shura. It's called Shura. In Urdu we call it Mashwara. Yes, same thing. Okay. Umar radiallahu anhu had established a group of people who would discuss matters. That was Majlis Shura. And he had appointed people in that. There were 6 Sahaba who were all given the news of paradise. Uthman radiallahu anhu, Ali radiallahu anhu, Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, Talha, Zubair, Abdurrahman, Ibn Auf. All of these were the Sahaba that were part of the Majlis Shura. And when Umar radiallahu anhu was killed, they were the ones who decided then who would be the next Khalifa. Okay. Another point, we have many points which we'll talk about Shura in a minute, but we need to realize that Shura is different from Nasiha. Nasiha is advice we give, because everyone can give nasiha, right? All of us can give advice to one another, but shura is that which makes something go forward, and it is done in important matters, and it is given by people who you consult people who will know about that issue.
Better knowledge. Who have better knowledge.
Who have better knowledge, especially about that particular issue. Okay. Let's go into what Maulana Maududi says about that.
So these are also the people who will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Who will be
So that is the next after the salat.
Yeah. Can we imagine that it is given such importance, even though it might not have been mentioned in too many places in the Quran? But the point is that it is mentioned along with those other characteristics that will bring a human being to Allah's everlasting reward. Is this shura? He says the thing that has been counted here as the best quality of the believers and has also been enjoined in Surah Al Imran, ayah 159, is consultation, which is an important pillar of the Islamic way of life. And we look at the Muslim countries today and how many governments are involved in taking shura or consulting with knowledgeable people around them. They have their few ministers, all of whom agree with them, and that's the end of it. So this is a pillar of Islamic society. How many Muslim countries are putting it into practice? So when we consider why consultation has been given such importance in Islam, three things become obvious. First, that it is injustice that remember, what's the word used by this scholar? It is injustice that a person should decide a matter by his own personal opinion and ignore others when it involves the interests of two or more people. We cannot make decisions alone, number one. Number two, second, that a man tries to do what he likes in matters of common interest, either, so then why does a person want to decide on his own? Either because he wants to usurp the rights of others for selfish ends, or because he thinks that the others are not worthy of making that opinion, that he is more superior than they are, which is no kibr. That's unforgivable. That's a really huge sin, unless you make tawbah. Third, it is a grave responsibility to give decisions in matters that involve the rights and interests of others. Huge responsibility to decide. I'll decide for everybody. No one who fears God and knows what severe accountability for it will be subjected to by Allah can dare to take this heavy burden upon his own shoulders. Anyone who fears Allah will consult with others when taking a decision which is involving more than a few people. Now, the Islamic way of life requires that the principle of consultation should be used in every collective affair, big and small. If it is a domestic affair, the husband and the wife should act by mutual consultation, meaning both of them should discuss an issue and come to a good solution. If there are children who have grown up, they should also be consulted. If it is a matter concerning the whole family, the opinion of every adult member should be sought. If it concerns the tribe or the city, it is not possible to consult everyone, right? How can you reach everyone? The decision should be taken by a local council or committee, which should comprise the trustworthy representatives of the concerned people according to an agreed method. If the matter concerns a whole nation, the head of the government should be appointed by the common consent of the people, and he should conduct the national affairs in consultation with the leaders of opinion, whom the people regard as reliable. The leader, the head, should remain at the helm of the affair. He should remain at the leadership of the affair as long as people want him there. And we look at the Muslim countries today. How many Muslim leaders have agreed to step down when people have said, get out of here? Not only have they not stepped down, but they have killed anyone who said that. And that is killed not one or two people. Killed hundreds of thousands of people just so they can stay where? In the position of power. Where is the fear of Allah? Imagine that this is an ayah of the Quran and they are unaware. But then when we look at them, they are in a big test by Allah. They have been given this position of authority not as a gift. It is a test. And we bring this thought to ourselves that when there are matters of decision in our families, most of us are just family members, right? We don't have access to, we are not really community leaders. And if we are, then we have a greater responsibility because we are acting on behalf of a whole community. So, for example, as a board member of a masjid, then it makes us realize that this is a huge responsibility. I mean, the community might be small, 100, 200 people, but does it matter? When we stand before Allah, does it matter if it's 100 people or 100,000 people? The leadership is there. We need to do the best that we can in that situation. It's a very serious thing. No honest man can try to assume the headship of a nation or a family or any institution by force, or desire to continue in that position indefinitely, that I'm here to stay, I'm a permanent member. That cannot be. Nor can think of coming into power by deception or seek people's cooperation by coercion, forcing them. Nor can he devise schemes that people may elect representatives to act as his advisors, not by their own free choice, but by according to his will. Meaning he's got ministers there or people under him who are there only because he wants them there. And this goes on to tell us what kind of people who should be entrusted with this responsibility. That it should be by a person's, people should consent to have him there. People who are appointed as advisors to him should be also, the nation should be having confidence in them, or the community should have confidence in them. The advisors should give their opinion according to their knowledge and faith and conscience, and they should be able to express the opinion rather than be afraid of what the top guy will do to them. And the advice that is given by consensus of the advisors, or which has the support of the majority of people, should be accepted. Because if someone is giving advice as a group and the leader is refusing to accept that, then it is meaningless. Because once the consultation is done and a decision is reached, then it is breaking the trust if you break that, if you don't do it. So when you have a consultation going on, it's not just because you have a consultation. Once you come to a conclusion from that consultation, it is your duty to follow that advice. So there's a lot more. Are there any comments or any questions regarding this?
No, but when the shuras, they differ in their opinion.
Oh, very excellent comment. There are, of course, times when that happens, when people differ. And what is the solution to that? Can anybody tell me? You all know the solution to that.
Then refer to the Quran.
That's it. That's it. If that happens, he says, I asked Muhammad ﷺ, if after we have consulted, we face a situation, and then we suppose we have gone to the Quran, and we don't find a solution,
exactly.
Right? What then if we face a situation about which neither the Quran has a specific ruling, nor the Hadith has given us a pointer and a direction? How should we proceed? Muhammad ﷺ replied, in such a case, assemble abidin, the worshipping people of my ummah, and decide the matter by mutual consultation. Do not take decision on any individual's single opinion. Get people together, abidin, who are worshippers, right? In other versions, this is also called fuqaha or jurists, or abidin, or worshipping people. So you're not just grabbing people off the streets. You are talking to people who have this quality of worship, who are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are then getting their advice. Bayhaqi has narrated in Shu'ab al-Iman from Sayyidina Ibn Umar that Muhammad ﷺ has said, anyone who intends to do something and he takes that action after consultation, Allah Ta'ala would guide him towards the best possible option. It means that he will turn that person's direction towards an option that results in its betterment. Now we know there have been issues in which people have brought together like a Majlis Shura, people have discussed this is going to happen, then people have agreed this will happen, and then people have not done that. That is answerable to Allah for that. Okay? When a nation, another hadith from Rasulullah ﷺ, that when a nation takes an action after mutual consultation, it is guided towards the correct course. Okay? So we have to go, as you know, if there are things that we cannot discuss. First of all, Quran and the Hadith, you go to that. Then if you come to a situation in which you don't have a solution, no. Istikhara is guidance from Allah. You can do that on an individual basis. When you have a community problem, you're not going to do istikhara, you're going to do shura.
Anybody can do it, istikhara.
Anybody can do, but for important matters. It's called ham, for important matters, and the same for shura too. You are going to, any important matter, you're going to do istikhara for that. Right? Any important choice that comes to your mind, you're going to do istikhara for that. Inshallah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that's when it concerns you, or your family, or your children, or whatever it is. It's a personal thing between you and Allah. This is one-on-one. But when you have a thing that affects the community, you can do istikhara once you have an idea that that's what I'd like to do. But you cannot make that decision on your own at all. So now is it clear? Is it clear that when we are responsible for more than me, I can't decide things that will concern you without consulting with you or others who are concerned with you. And I'm not talking about mother and its small children. I'm talking about people who are adults. Even if it's a family matter, let's say division of property, or something like a burial of a parent. Like when my mother-in-law was dying, my husband called me and said, what if she dies at night? What should we do? And he didn't have to ask me this. He didn't even have to take my advice. There's plenty of people who will give him that advice. But he did consult because it opens one's mind. And we didn't assume that consultation was going to lead to a decision that he would have to follow. But shura would be something that you would sit down, you discuss, and follow that decision that is made. It's done in important matters. Okay?
So then whose idea, if this is not religion, then whose idea was that she should go to that particular place?
I think that this was his family's idea.
So several people got together and decided?
Yes, they did. They did. And that it was already, once it was decided, while she was alive, all the arrangements were made. That if she was to die, this is how it's going to happen. Alhamdulillah, the family was relaxed in at least that aspect, that our mother will be taken care of, right? So Alhamdulillah. And now we come to, so we are clear on that. And the reason why I keep emphasizing on clarity is, we might be clear on our 5 pillars. Are we clear on this aspect of mutual consultation? How many of us, and I look at our community, especially us who come from the Pakistan Indian subcontinent, we bring up our families in a very authoritarian manner. We say, do as you are told, right? This is how it's going to be. Sometimes we can do that when the children are small, but we need to allow them to make decisions when they are older. And if we don't, there will always be yes sir, no sir people. Where will be that vision of independent thought that we want from our young people, that we want from our older people? How many of our people have reached positions of authority in any community? We are supposed to be people who rectify and correct. Because you know what? What's salvation in Islam? We say salvation in Christianity is what? Believing in Jesus. If you believe in Jesus according to Christians, Allah will save you. What is salvation in Islam? How will you be saved in Islam? Huh? Yes, that's one part of it, but not all of it. You will be saved if you have Iman, but that's not enough.
No, but follow Allah's commands.
That is salvation in Islam.
What is that?
وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ.
So it's
So-
the same like whatever Allah's commands, following the Allah's commands.
But salaha doesn't just mean following Allah's commands. It means rectification, being muslih, correcting it. So here in America, we are sitting in America and we say, well, everything is, they're very racist here. Okay? Right? Or we say, I find things in America as being, very anti-Islam. Okay? What are you doing about it? If you are doing iman and you are doing amal which are salih, meaning rectification of the problem, what are you doing to fix the problem? I guarantee none of us are doing anything about it. You and I are Muslim, and our salvation is through amalus. Our definition of amal salih is very limited. All we do is the 5 pillars and we think that is good deeds. Guess what? We are part of a community. We live in this community. This is our home, and we need to help the community around us, Muslim or non-Muslim. I'm so serious about that. What are we doing for any of the non-Muslims around us? Do we even know? I was asking my husband, is there a soup kitchen in Fayetteville? We don't know. Is there a shelter here for homeless people? I don't know. Is there a place where animals are, we can go and volunteer for some Go Green project? I don't know. Anything in voluntary organizations, you and I don't know about them. You know why? And I'm ashamed to say them, because we are Muslim. Because the opposite should be the case. Our salvation is in doing salih deeds, and 5 pillars of Islam isn't enough for that. So what are we going to do about that? Shura is one aspect of rectification, which we are unaware. So when we learn, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the beginning of this ayah, He says, وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ, those that answer to their Lord. Meaning, you heard about it now, you learned about this, put it into practice. And then right after that, bang, He says, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, those who spend from what Allah has provided them with. We have provided, meaning Allah. So those who spend from what we have provided them with means, what has Allah provided us with? Huh? What has Allah given you, Maz? Huh? A mind. One. What else? Excellent. Intelligence. What else? Wealth. Children. Life. Health. Name it, you got it from Allah. And what kind of wealth has He given you? What about the haram stuff? Has He given you haram? No. He's given you halal. Spend from the halal rizq that Allah has given you. Right? So first of all, spend from that. And who do we spend it on? So that's my thing. Is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions orphans in the Quran, does He say the orphans have to be Muslim? What's Surah Al-Duha? وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. Don't turn away the who? The orphan. Does it say Muslim orphan? وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. And when the beggar comes to you, don't how should I say it?
Don't turn them away.
Don't turn them away. Does it say Muslim or non-Muslim? Quran mentions categories of the lowest of the low, people who need protection, and never classifies them as Muslim and non-Muslim. So where are we? So there was a story that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the Sahaba. He said that there was a man who was from Bani Israel, and there was a designated place where they would put their sadaqah. And that, I will give you some ideas in a minute. But anyway, there was a designated place, like let's say the sadaqah box here. So the people would come and they put the sadaqah in that box. When this man put his sadaqah the first time, a prostitute came and picked it up. So the man said, oh, I need to do this again. The second time he put the sadaqah in that designated place, a robber came and picked it up. So he said, this happened again. Allah obviously doesn't want my sadaqah. Rasulullah said, this man was then received Allah sent an angel to this man. This is from Bani Israel, so it's from the Jews. And this is from before Islam. So whatever is about them, Allah is telling us the story for a reason. So the first time the sadaqah was picked up by a prostitute, second time the sadaqah was picked up by a thief. And the man became very disappointed that obviously my sadaqah will not be accepted or is not being accepted by Allah. So this time, Allah sent the angel, and the angel said to him, here's what happened with your sadaqah. The prostitute is no longer involved in what she was doing. Because there was barakah in your sadaqah. She's not doing that anymore. He said the thief is no longer stealing because there was barakah in your sadaqah. What are we taught from this hadith? That who we give to and acts of goodness are irrelevant as to what religion a person is or action a person does. That's what we are being taught from the best teacher of all. Does it matter who you help? Does it matter who you give money to? Does it matter who you do good to? And this is something that's a big lesson for me. Because we like to help Muslims first and foremost. Of course, first we love to help our relatives. That's the best. But do we ignore the community around us who we are living amongst and midst of them? And are we not going to care about them in any way? And like I said, who is the one who doesn't know about any voluntary organizations in the communities in which they live? And I challenge you if I say the top category of people who know nothing about the people around them is us Muslims. And that is the first category who should know most about them, because we have only one way of salvation. Iman and Amal Salih. And Salih means, the root means rectification, correcting the situation. And we have so many complaints, but this is where we live. And we don't have to do any kind of hijrah. We have to fix where we are right now. So Rasulullah's hadith is, Kullu ma'rufin sadaqa. Any act of good is sadaqah. Any act of charity, regardless of the receiving hand, is sadaqah. We are Muslims living in a minority, living in a non-Muslim majority. Are we going to ignore everybody and all the causes around us and say, well, this is not our job, this is not our responsibility? I really feel like all of us have so far to go. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. They spend from what we have provided. Does it say anywhere it's for only Muslim? We know zakat is for only Muslim. But that is only one aspect of our sadaqah. Is that all we do all year, only zakat? Is it enough? So some ideas of doing sadaqah. I told you that we should put a box and in our own homes, label it sadaqah, and so anybody coming and going can put their change in it. And I know that since we did that, a lot of sadaqah has been collected and given. Every time you get a call, sadaqah, I don't even have to worry. I said, come on, let's pull it out. So don't put in $1 or $2. I mean, put in more if you have more. And let your family donate it to some cause at the end of the month. So take a box, get your little children to decorate it, put it in the middle of the dining table and leave it there. And anybody coming and going, put your sadaqah in the box. So that when it's collected, inshallah, at the end of the month, what should you do? Give it to a worthy cause, inshallah. Okay, some more thoughts on sadaqah. Now, when you look at zakat,
Why zakat is only for Muslims?
Zakat is only for Muslims because Muslims, that is only one aspect of your spending. And who will take care of Muslims if you don't? That is the idea. But at the same time, we think I'm going to give my Muslim friend because she doesn't have food stamps. The government is giving Americans food stamps. My friend is not American. She is not getting it. So there is that wisdom. But that is only zakat. When a non-Muslim asks you, reaches out for help, do we oblige them? Of course, there's a lot of wisdom in zakat. But remember, Allah doesn't say zakat only. He says, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. It is one aspect of spending. Zakat is one aspect. But the others are endless. Any kullu ma'ruf in sadaqah. Any good that you do is sadaqah. So how many good deeds are you doing other than money for your neighbors? Did you help anyone pick up any of their supermarket goods? Did you go and condole someone whose father or mother had died? Did you go and do anything for anyone? Did you smile at someone in the neighborhood? So when we give, we should definitely show humbleness when giving something. We should pay from which is good. Give from your halal. We should look for the best recipient. When we are giving zakat, the teacher explained to us that give to the best recipient. He said give to people who have knowledge, people who are righteous, people who don't ask, people who have large families or handicaps. And of course your relatives should come first. And if you want the angels to make dua for you every day, give sadaqah every day. Right? And of course you can do that by making an intention. There are these companies called Helping Hand. They are doing take care of an orphan. They have lots of orphans on their website. You can click on one that you want to pay for. You pay $360 and they provide for that child for the whole year. So $1 a day. So it's very simple. It's not a big deal. You just keep clicking and going down. Choose. I was saying choose a child that is not reached puberty, because definition of orphan is got to be under that age of puberty.
Is it Muslim or non-Muslim?
If it's zakat, it should be Muslim, and if it's but in this particular website, they're all Muslims. So inshallah, you can do that. What if my charity was given to one undeserving? You know the answers to that, right? What if my charity was given to someone who was undeserving? We just went through that hadith of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prostitute got it, the robber got it, and we don't have to worry who got it, because Allah put barakah in that sadaqah, and those two people stopped doing what they were doing, right? So continue from there. So mashallah. Okay. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَهُمُ الْبَغْيُ هُمْ يَنْتَصِرُونَ. And those who, when reaches them oppression, they defend themselves. So in Islam, if someone oppresses you or me, we don't have to turn the other cheek. We don't have to say, do more to me. Come on. Turning the other cheek means what? You slap me one time, slap me again. No. In Islam, we don't do that. In Islam, we have options. If someone oppresses you, you can do what? You can defend yourself. How much can you defend yourself? As much as you were oppressed. No more than that. Like one of my friends was telling me that how in Salah, two little girls were standing, one pushed one by mistake, the other one kept kicking the other one hundreds of times during Salah, because she said, you pushed me. So you had two little girls fighting. Now, if that one had pushed her deliberately and she had given her one push back, I guess maybe there was some justification. But here she kept kicking her 100 times and kept on going. So anyway, so you can defend. So who are these people? The people who will receive with Allah that which is khair and better. Those people who, when oppression reaches them, they do defend themselves. But then the clarification is there. وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. Recompense for an evil is an evil which is like it. No more than that. Only that much and no more. فَمَنْ عَفَى. The one who, and then the other option. The one who forgave, wiped it out, erased it, forgot about it. وَأَصْلَحَ. I'm telling you, Salih, Aslaha, rectified that, made peace with that person, reconciled with him. No more bad thoughts in the heart or mind. فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. His recompense is Allah, rewarded for sure. So if someone is oppressed and he either he took revenge that was equal to that, or forgot about it, forgave it, and reconciled with him or her, their reward is Allah. إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الظَّالِمِينَ. No doubt Allah does not love those who are wrongdoers. Okay, let's go to Ibn Kathir. So people who have the strength to take revenge on those who commit aggressive, wrong and hostile acts against them, they are not incapable of doing so. Meaning they can take revenge. They are not helpless. They are able to take revenge against those who transgress against them. Even when they have the power to take revenge, they prefer to forgive. So even though people can take revenge, they prefer to forgive, as did Yusuf alayhi salam to his brothers, as did Muhammad sallam, who forgave people in Mecca when the Muslims overpowered it without any force, and as he did when this man came with his sword while he was took his sword away while he was sleeping and stood there and said, "Who will protect you from me?" And then Rasulullah took the sword from him and said, "Now who will protect you from me?" And he forgave him. There are many hadiths about how Rasulullah forgave people. وَلَمَنِ انْتَصَرَ بَعْدَ ظُلْمِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَا عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سَبِيلٍ. Verily the one who takes revenge after he has been oppressed, for them there is no blame from Allah. There is no way that Allah will punish him for that. So it is not punishable if a person defends himself or herself. But the punishment is for those إِنَّمَا السَّبِيلُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يَظْلِمُونَ النَّاسِ, those who oppress people. The punishment is against those who oppress people, وَيَبْغُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ, and who spread oppression in the earth without right. أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. For them there's a painful torment. People who begin the problem, people who take too much retribution, those people are the ones who will be punished. So taking revenge is not a punishable offense as long as those criterions are met. Only as much as that, preferably one forgives. But see, forgiveness doesn't always work, because sometimes the action is such that it needs to be stopped, right? Sometimes you feel like, okay, too much of forgiveness is going on, is making this person out of control. So sometimes a person needs to be reprimanded for that action, and that's when this ayah would come into play. That's very, very important sometimes to answer aggression with aggression. But then, وَلَمَنْ صَبَرَ وَغَفَرَ, indeed the one who acted patiently and forgave, who hides that, forgives it, doesn't take revenge, he doesn't broadcast it. إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. No doubt this is from the acts of great courage. Okay? So if somebody is able to forgive, that's even better. One should note that the qualities of the believers that have been mentioned in these verses practically existed in the lives of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions, and the disbelievers of Makkah were their eyewitnesses. Thus Allah has in fact told the disbelievers, the real wealth is not the provision that you have received for passing this temporary life of the world, and you're bursting with pride of it. The real wealth are the morals and characteristics which the believers from your own society have developed by accepting the guidelines given by the Quran. Which means when a person puts into practice what that person has learned, that is when that ilm has been internalized. So we are learning all this stuff. We are sitting here for an hour. And mashallah, that's a very amazing thing, to take an hour out of a Saturday morning and come voluntarily and sit in class and try to learn about Islam. But it is useless if whatever you learn, you don't put it into practice. It's a waste of time. In some, I mean, I wouldn't say that one shouldn't come because one isn't practicing, but one should try to put things into practice. That is a problem with all of us, isn't it? That we learn, we know, but we can't put it into practice. So we need to make dua for that. Oh Allah, help us to apply what we have learned. And the people of that time, Rasulullah ﷺ and his followers, all these things that we are talking about right now, they had put that in their life. It could be seen by their actions that these ayat were. That's why when we read that in Surah Al-Baqarah, it took them 8 years to memorize it. Some of the Sahabas took 8 years to memorize a surah, which even people like us memorize in about 2 years' time. And we say, gosh, why did it take them so long? And the reason is because they wouldn't move to the next ayah until they had put into practice what they had learned. They took time to apply those verses in their lives. Azm al-umur, that's from the acts of great courage. وَمَن يُضْلِلِ اللَّهُ فَمَا لَهُ مِن وَلِيٍّ مِّن بَعْدِهِ. And whoever Allah sends astray after getting up, meaning when people have received the teachings of Allah from the Quran, they have received the teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then people have turned away, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no guide after him. There is no the doors of guidance are then closed. The person is left in his deviation if they turn away from Allah's guidance. And then وَتَرَى الظَّالِمِينَ, did you see the wrongdoers? لَمَّا رَأَوُا الْعَذَابِ, when they saw the torment, يَقُولُونَ, they will say, هَلْ إِلَى مَرَدٍّ مِّن سَبِيلٍ, is there a way out? Is there a return from this? Can we get a second chance on the day of judgment or close to Jahannam? This is when they will be asking, can we have a second chance? Today we refuse and we don't want to go back. We don't want to turn back. But tomorrow, after the judgment is passed and people will see their fate, they will wish that they could come back. If only we could go back to earth and correct ourselves. But what would they do? Probably exactly the same thing. Allah will not allow them to go back. The time of return is already over. And we get many chances on earth to do tawbah, and we do try to do that. But when difficulties come, we turn back to Allah. But then we go back and go exactly back into the exact same environment and do exactly the same things all over again. So for that, there is no turning back. وَتَرَاهُمْ يُعْرَضُونَ عَلَيْهَا, and you will see when they will be presented upon it, meaning Jahannam, خَاشِعِينَ مِنَ الذُّلِّ, humble from this disgrace, this punishment that will be there. How will they be looking at it? يَنظُرُونَ مِن طَرْفٍ خَفِيٍّ, they will be looking at it from the side of their eyes, like so scared they would not be able to look at it like that. Like, oh, is that where I'm going to be going? Constantly thinking about it. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, and those who believed said, إِنَّ الْخَاسِرِينَ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ, that no doubt the losers are those who have lost themselves. وَأَهْلِيهِمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, and their families in the hereafter. The real losers in the world are people with some losses, right? But the actual, in reality, the real losers are those who will lose themselves and their families on the last day, meaning to Allah's punishment. أَلَا إِنَّ الظَّالِمِينَ فِي عَذَابٍ مُقِيمٍ, beware, the wrongdoers will be in everlasting torment. وَمَا كَانَ لَهُم مِّنْ أَوْلِيَاءٍ, and not for them are friends or protectors, يَنْصُرُونَهُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ, who will help them from other than Allah. These people will not have anybody to help them. In this world, even if you're a bad guy, you still have friends who will help you, but not over there. وَمَن يُضْلِلِ اللَّهُ فَمَا لَهُ مِن سَبِيلٍ, and whoever Allah sends astray, for them there is no way out. And I'm thinking I should stop here. Let me see, should I? Yeah, I think we should stop here. Okay. For you now, some comments from you. Some thoughts. Yes, why not?
Oh, okay. Well,